Now, back with Kurt and Jeremy.
All right, welcome back. Sports Hangover. We got Steve White in the house. House of Comedy. He's going to be appearing tonight. 2 shows, 7 and 9:30. $20. Great value for all that entertainment. All those laughs.
And if you're looking for me on the Twitter, kids, at Steve Ain't White. Steve Ain't White. Get it?
White.
Catch
Is it really? Yeah, that's funny.
At Steve Ain't White, yeah.
And, all right, our next guest joining us via phone, Howard Cross, former tight end for the New York Giants. What I love about Cross's career, seldom you see a guy that just stayed with one team his entire career from start to finish. He came in 89 through 2001, never signed anywhere else. He played in 2 Super Bowls. He won one, which was the first victory over the Buffalo Bills, 20-19. That was the wide left? Or was it wide right?
Wide right.
Wide right. And then also,
definitely wide right.
Yeah, there he is right there, Howard Cross. How are you doing this morning, Howard?
I'm
Kurt and Jeremy.
How you doing? What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Howard? Are you out here in Phoenix, or are you back home? Where do you call home, actually?
I'm actually in Jersey. I'm actually at home coaching some basketball today with the kids.
Jersey guy. You went to college, Alabama, and where are you from originally, Howard?
I'm actually originally from a small town outside of Huntsville, Alabama.
How's that transition going from Alabama to Jersey? That's quite a culture shock, huh?
It could be. We live pretty basic lives, so we try to treat people with the grace we can to make them feel like they're your next door neighbor as much as possible, and it kind of helps you out.
That's awesome. And Howard, going back to those Super Bowls you played in, I always thought, those weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, sometimes it's 1 week, sometimes it's 2, but you played in 2 of those. How distracting are all those media press conferences and all the extra stuff? How much of a distraction is that as a guy that just wants to get on the field and play the game?
Believe it or not, it's really not that bad. The biggest distraction is your family and friends who are, beating you down for the tickets before the game. So that's trying to ration out the tickets and figure out who's going to get them and who's going to be left out and who's not going to be speaking to you at Thanksgiving the next year. That's probably the biggest distraction of the whole thing.
Let's talk about those 2 Super Bowls, because the first one you guys won, 2019, and obviously tight victory. That was, you can make the argument for the Buffalo Bills, if they had won that Super Bowl, they were then in 3 more after that. Maybe, they could have rewrote history because they ended up losing 4. But for the Giants, that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was their first Super Bowl victory, right?
86.
Was that
86.
No,
okay.
Second.
Yeah, you're more of a Giants fan than I am. I'm
86.
a Jets fan, but that one is that's a good win for them, because that was the year. Who was the quarterback that came off? Hostetler, because Sims
went out.
Yeah,
I believe he went out against the Bills in the regular season. Is that right?
Yeah, broke his ankle.
And it was against Buffalo.
Bills,
yeah.
See, to me,
like a rainy day at the stadium.
Yep.
Howard, you'd give us at least some good insight on this. To me, Phil Simms, he's one of the most underrated quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion. I thought he was really, really solid, and just never seemed to ever get mentioned with the great quarterbacks. How good was Phil Simms?
Yeah, Simms was better than most people would ever believe. Think about his receivers through his years. He didn't have like this top flight receiver, a bunch of Pro Bowls. He did have a Pro Bowl tight end, Mark Bavaro, but he didn't have the guy that you see coming out from all angles, making plays all over the field, the great receivers of the era. He didn't have a Jerry Rice on his team at that time. He didn't have a Sharp or any of those guys. He didn't have Chris Carter. It was just Simms and a few guys. He just kind of made it work, and he did a great job of it.
And, that's where you fit in really well. You were a tremendous blocking tight end for what I remember. You and Maurice Carthon used to just plug holes, and, I miss that kind of football where you just run the ball, play physical, throw some Rodney Hampton at you, some Otis Anderson, Joe Morris before that. You hit the tight end, and, and then the receivers made plays when you had to, like in your Super Bowl, that Mark Ingram play. That's got to go down as one of the biggest conversions in Super Bowl history.
It will always go down as one of the biggest conversions in Super Bowl history, next to the immaculate exception. But what you think about when we played in that era, it was the 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's kind of what, if you think about it, it's kind of what Seattle does now with Marshawn Lynch and even with Russell running the ball a little bit from the quarterback position. They're more focused on the running game. The receivers are not, these big stellar names, guys that are going to make plays all over the field. It's just run the ball, be very consistent running it, and then, make a play in the pass game when you can. On the other side of the field, they got, Blunt. He's a big-time running back, too. People don't like to, put him in that category, but he's a really talented big man who runs the ball well. He'll help Brady and those, I hate to say it, no-name receivers. He'll make plays all over the field.
And, that definitely seems like a Belichick stamp now, except for those couple years with Moss. even going back to the Giants, the whole blueprint of Parcells is completely on Bill. And, people talk about how Manning struggles against Bill. Bill made Montana struggle. You guys owned him. He does it to Peyton. He's doing it to Luck. How do you see this game going down? Will he be able to figure out this new wave of read option with Russell and Marshawn?
Well, they do a lot of things out of the read option. They run a little power out of the read option. Russell is more than an adequate runner. The thing that they're going to have to do and figure out is how to contain everybody within the inside, keep them between the tackles. Once they get to the edges, it's kind of when the whole defensive scheme breaks down. When you make the one guy makes the decision on the outside, and that guy has to be right, 100% of the time, or it's a first down. And that's the thing that came over, basically infiltrated from college right into the pros. You don't think that they're going to risk the quarterback. The quarterbacks are way too valuable to run the ball. But a guy who knows how to get down on the ground like Russell does, saves him from big hits. You never really see anybody get a clean shot on him when he's running the ball. Maybe when he's dropping back, somebody might get him once or twice, but most of the time, nothing ever really hits him. I think Bill's going to have to figure out a way to keep the ball between the tackles. If he can keep it between the tackles, they have a chance to be dominant in the game.
We're speaking with former Giants tight end Howard Cross. And Howard, if you look at the tight ends now, they've really evolved quite a bit. Who are some of the tight ends that really stand out to you? Because, there's a bunch of really good ones, but their game has changed a little bit. Who's the tight end that really you kind of like, that guy's the complete package?
Well, the guy that everybody knows, the guy that's the complete package is Gronkowski. It was Witten. Witten did a great job for a long time, but the thing that Witten does is he's that 8, 9, 10-yard catch guy. Whereas Gronk can go split to the outside and make a play on a safety or a linebacker or even a cornerback. They can't cover him. He's too big. He's too fast. He covers too much ground. And then when you're running the ball, Gronk can block your best defensive end or your outside linebacker. He's a force to be reckoned with. And guys, he's enjoying playing the game. The thing that makes a guy dangerous more than anything else is not that he's a super tough, crazy guy, but guys that really enjoy playing. When they're having fun, it's hard to play against a guy who's just out there beating on you and having fun.
Howard, what do you got going on now? I know you got a publicist, so you got anything going on in Jersey or anything you want us to announce?
I do a little bit of everything. I do TV and radio around, especially with the team and stuff, but mostly for my part, I'm a commercial real estate broker. I'm a partner in the firm in the city, and we do a great job. We're Crest in New York, and as part of a big group of guys that only do tenant rep work around the globe.
There you go, Steve. Need some real estate advice?
Yeah,
There's
man.
your guy right there.
Looking for a nice one-bedroom in Manhattan.
Oh, no. You'd have to be looking for a whole office building if you were talking to me.
Oh, what the heck? Let's go with the office then. I'll put up a futon.
I like that. Call me up. I'll give him some sweet space.
Hey, Howard, predictions for this game?
Well, the way the game looks and from right now, Russell Wilson, those guys, they don't score a tremendous amount of points. Brady gets hit from time to time when he's throwing the ball, but it's going to be really LeGarrette Blount versus, Marshawn Lynch. Who's going to be able to run the ball better? The thing that I don't think people are really taking into consideration is that the Patriots have a bunch of small, what we would call slot receivers. Like their entire team's full of slot receivers, little quick guys that make great moves. With that being said, the big, lanky defensive cornerbacks that the Seattle Seahawks have, they'll have a harder time covering little quick guys on the edges, as opposed to covering like a Larry Fitzgerald or Calvin Johnson. That's who they were drafted to cover. They were drafted to cover big, rangy receivers, not little short, quick guys. Those guys and Gronkowski are going to give Seattle a hard time. They really just run a cover three. They run it great. That's all they run. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can stop them. I'm going to pick the Patriots.
All right, Howard, last question from me. Belichick, you obviously played, he was coach there for the Giants. Is he really this weird, or is he just kind of misunderstood? What's the deal with Belichick? He comes across so bizarre to the media.
Well, here's the thing. When I came into the league, the media were considered the evil empire. Don't talk to the media. Don't give them much. They're not there as your friends. They'll love you one week. They'll hate you the next week. So we were all taught that. We weren't paying attention to the fact that the head coach, Parcells at the time, he was with the media every day. He was rough on them, but he was with them every day. So Belichick really took that kind of philosophy to heart Just don't talk to him. Don't give him much. Keep it as far away as possible. Bill's a great guy. Funny, entertaining. You can hang out with him, have a great time. But he really limits the moment of the media. It's a crazy thing. It's a funny thing. It's almost like Marshawn Lynch and I talk, and I laugh. And I heard one of my buddies, I think worked for the news or for the Post, say he has an obligation to speak to the media. And I said, that's really not true. The reality of it is that you really want to hear from people that you want to come sit at your house and have dinner. Would you want to invite Marshawn Lynch to your house for dinner? He goes, well, I don't know. I said, not that Marshawn Lynch is a bad guy, but I'm pretty sure you wouldn't invite him over. So why are you asking him questions?
All right, Howard, great information, man. I figured that there must have been something about Belichick, too, because he, like I said, he just comes across as such a weirdo. But yeah, listen, you can't argue with his success. Howard, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll have to do it again.
All right, bye.
All right, Howard. Howard Cross, former tight end with the New York Giants.
Remember him vividly.
Hey, the only reason why I'm here is so I don't get fined.
Yeah, right?
I was saying the other day to my friend, the only reason I'm here is so I can get paid.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's good, too. You see a guy like that, well, wait a minute, was that before free agency anyway? 2001? When is free agency start?
I remember they had Plan B free agency around 1990.
Yeah, that was like bogus free agency. That wasn't even real.
That's how Ronnie Lott got to the Raiders. He was one of the Plan B free agents.
That was their transition period when there were owners who were afraid to give it up, and then so they came up with some.
Oh no, there was free
system.
agency. I mean, look at Dion. He was on 3 teams in 3 years.
There was a few loopholes too that some players were able to get out of it, like John Riggins when he went to the Jets.
That was before.
I mean, when he went to the Redskins.
That was way before.
Yeah, he found some loophole.
90s. I mean, he played in '89 to 2001. He could have stayed. But he's a Giant, right? He was perfect for what the Giants did.
Who was the quarterback for that? Oh, that was Collins.
Well, Dave Brown. Oh, the second Super Bowl?
Yeah, the second.
Yeah, that was at the end of his career. But for the majority of his career, I believe it was Dave Brown, that Duke kid. Remember him?
Brown.
David Brown.
Phil Simms, David Brown, and Collins.
All
right, we come back and talk more with Steve White and
Steve ain't white.
This House of Comedy.
Catchy.
Sports Hangover, NBC Sports Radio 1060. We'll be right back after this minute.